Hey guys, tonight we're slipping back into the narrow lantern-lit streets of Old Edo, where fire was the great equalizer, striking the grandest merchant houses and humblest tea stalls alike. You can almost hear the faint snap of bamboo blinds and the swish of passing sandals as the city settles in for the night. Somewhere nearby, a paper lantern flickers too close to a lacquered beam. The air is dry, and beneath this tranquil surface, every resident knows ***, you probably won't survive this if a blaze catches hold ***. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know in the comments, where in the world are you listening from, and what time is it right now? Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You trudge quietly down a twisting lane past timber shop fronts and cloth-covered stalls. The year is 1825, the Tokugawa shogunate is in full swing, and Edo future Tokyo is a booming metropolis of over 1 million souls. It's also one of the most fire-prone cities on earth. By day, these streets bustle with merchants hawking rice silk and tobacco. But at night, a new recruit of the Haikushi, the city's famed firefighting force, patrol the shadows. Your wooden clogs thud softly against packed dirt as you scan windows for telltale orange glows. Above, paper lanterns sway in the faintest breeze, their painted characters shimmering. The smell of cedar ink and distant grilled eel hangs in the air. Tonight, you carry no water bucket, only a small conch horn slung at your hip. If a fire starts, you'll blow 3 sharp blasts, waking the whole neighborhood. Historians still argue whether Edo's firefighters were more about fighting flames or maintaining the social order. Truth is, you do both. Around the next corner, you spot the telltale silk sashes of rival brigade members lounging outside a sake shop. They eye you lazily, neither friend nor outright enemy. Yet, farther ahead, you pass a cluster of tiny shrines. Thin curls of incense rise from their altars. You pause to murmur a quiet plea to Hinokagutsuchi, the fearsome god of fire. A sudden clang metal against stone snaps you back. You whirl around, just a street cat tipping over a cooking pot. False alarm. You exhale, heart slowing. Fires here spread fast. One rogue spark can leap from roof to roof in minutes, devouring entire districts. You remind yourself of the words every Haikushi learns on day 1 ***, fight fire not with water but with daring. ***. In a world of flammable rice paper walls and cedar rooftops, bravery often beats brute force. You round one last corner and find your patrol partner waiting. Grizzled and tattooed, he nods approvingly at your silent circuit. Together, you climb a low watchtower to survey the cityscape. Edo at night sprawls beneath you, a sea of darkened eaves and glowing windows. Somewhere out there, a lone oil lamp flares too brightly. You mark its location mentally. A soft wind stirs. You catch a whiff of smoke, just cooking fires this time. Still, your fingers tense reflexively on the horn. You descend from the watchtower with a soft creak of wooden steps, your body warmed by the night's patrol, but your mind now alive with thoughts of flame. The city sprawls ahead, beautiful, bustling, and built like a bonfire waiting for a spark. Edo is a marvel of human ingenuity, yet almost absurdly flammable. You walk beneath its overhanging eaves and lattice balconies, the scent of cedar and cypress thick in the night air. Every building, merchant shop, samurai estate noodle stall, or tea house is constructed from timber. The walls are paper thin, often literally panels of washi paper stretched over bamboo frames. You pause outside a silk merchant's shop. Its elegant facade gleams faintly under the glow of a paper lantern, the kanji for ***, longevity ***, painted in bold strokes. Lovely, yet one stray ember, and this place would vanish in minutes. Historians still argue whether Edo's rapid wooden expansion was driven by necessity or aesthetic taste. What is certain is that in this city, fire is not just a hazard. It is an inevitability. In the space of your lifetime alone, you've heard elders recount nearly a dozen major blazes. Entire districts reduced to smoldering charcoal black smoke, blotting out the sun for days. It's no wonder then that the Haikushi are both revered and feared. You stroll farther, passing narrow alleyways, known as ***. These are charming by day, lined with cheerful lanterns and fragrant with grilled fish and soy. But at night, they become sinister tinderboxes. A single spark from an unattended brazier could trap dozens in their winding maze. You run your fingers along a row of wooden rain barrels stationed outside a bathhouse. They are always kept full, one of many small precautions in this delicate ecosystem of flame and timber. You tilt your head upward. Even the rooftops whisper danger. Shingled with thin cedar planks, they shed water poorly and catch embers all too well. City builders add stone tiles at district borders, a desperate attempt to contain runaway flames. Historians still debate whether Edo's infamous Great Fire of Meireki in 1657 was worsened by these very materials. Over 100,000 souls lost, and yet rebuilding with wood remained the norm. Why? Because Edo is a living city. It moves fast, grows faster. Wood is cheap, abundant, and forgiving. A carpenter can raise a house in weeks. Stone is costly, slow, and signals permanence in a place where nothing remains permanent for long. You pass a public bath. Steam curls invitingly from its roof vents. You smile faintly. Ironically, bathhouses are among the greatest fire risks. Hot coals and wooden beams make poor bedfellows. Nearby, a baker prepares his morning dough stoking a clay oven. You pause to watch the flames dance within. The smell of yeast and wood smoke fills the air, a comforting scent laced with peril. One of your comrades once said, "Asterisk in Edo fire is a neighbor, not a stranger." Asterisk. You've come to believe this. Every night you walk these streets, you sense it lurking in the glowing coals of street vendors, the flicker of oil lamps, the careless ember in a drunkard's pipe. And yet the city thrives. Lanterns sway gently overhead, casting their dappled light on the ancient stones beneath your feet. Children dream in futons behind fragile screens. Lovers whisper on moonlit verandas. Merchants plan tomorrow's fortunes, all knowing that by dawn fire could rewrite their stories. You adjust your sash and move on deeper into the heart of this beautiful, flammable. Your footsteps echo softly in the pre-dawn hush, the streets of Edo beginning to stir with life. As you walk, it's impossible not to reflect on how fire has shaped the city, not just its buildings, but its very soul. Edo is a city that remembers its burns. Every district here carries the scars of past fires, visible and invisible. You pause beside a weathered stone marker half sunk in the earth. The engraved kanji records the boundary where flames once halted, thanks perhaps to the courage of a long-forgotten Hikeishi crew. You brush your fingers across the cold stone, imagining the heat that once raged here. Historians still argue whether the frequency of fires forged Edo's unique urban rhythm. But one thing is clear, life here is cyclical. Build, burn, rebuild each iteration, weaving resilience deeper into the city's fabric. You continue along a canal, its calm waters reflecting the first blush of dawn. These waterways were widened deliberately, not just for commerce, but as fire breaks. Clever design born of hard lessons. The city's architecture, too, reflects this uneasy dance with flame. Look closely and you'll notice gaps between buildings, narrow alleys, meant to slow the spread of fire. Roof tiles grow thicker toward district edges, forming makeshift firewalls. Merchants store precious goods in Kura-low windowless warehouses, with clay-coated walls designed to withstand intense heat. You pass one such Kura now, its earthen facade stark against the timber shops nearby. It's a fortress amidst kindling, a testament to the city's ingenuity. Yet the rhythm of fire runs deeper still. It shapes daily life. Every dawn you hear the resonant clang of the asterisk on asterisk, a wooden drum struck in temple courtyards. Its rhythmic beat warns of fire danger on dry, windy days. Merchants adjust their stalls accordingly. Housewives double-check their braziers. Children learn the drum's patterns before they can read. You smile, remembering your own childhood, a scrawny boy crouched by the family hearth, ears tuned to the drum's warning calls. Beyond the physical fire seeps into Edo's culture. Its presence is woven into festivals, art, and language. Entire poems are devoted to the dance of smoke over rooflines. Ukiyo-e prints capture dramatic scenes of Hikeishi battling towering infernos. You pause outside a printmaker's shop. In the window, a vivid woodblock depicts a lone firefighter atop a crumbling rooftop, Matoi, held high as flames curl around him. The image is romanticized, of course, but the bravery it honors is real. Fire also shapes social bonds. When disaster strikes, neighbors become kin. Entire communities rally to aid the displaced, sharing rice and shelter without hesitation. It's an unspoken pact born of shared vulnerability. Yet this resilience breeds a certain fatalism too. Many Edoites keep their most precious possessions in portable bundles, ready to flee at a moment's notice. Wealth is measured not just in goods, but in how swiftly one can carry them. You recall a saying often whispered among the Hikeishi asterisk, build lightly, live lightly. Asterisk, words to survive by. Of course, not everyone takes heed. You glance up at an opulent merchant's mansion, its lacquered beams gleaming in the morning sun. Beautiful and foolishly grand for such a tinderbox city. You shake your head. Pride, too, is flammable. The sun climbs higher. Smoke curls lazily from countless chimneys. The city awakens its daily rhythm, pulsing beneath your feet. And beneath it all, the ember of fire remains smoldering in memory, in architecture, in the collective heart of Edo. You tighten your sash and turn toward the watchtower. Another patrol begins soon. In this city of wood and paper, vigilance never sleeps. You make your way toward the watchtower, weaving through throngs of merchants setting up their stalls. The city hums with life again. Vendors shouting prices, apprentices hauling goods, temple bells chiming faintly in the distance. Yet beneath the surface bustle, a single truth endures. Without the Hikeshi, Edo would never have thrived as it does. Historians still argue whether the Tokugawa shogunate's creation of organized firefighting brigades was a stroke of genuine civic foresight or simply a move to tighten control over the restless merchant class. Either way, the results shaped the city's fate. You arrive at the tower just as your captain, a stocky, stern-eyed man with a dragon tattoo coiled up his arm, gathers the crew. His voice rumbles through the morning air. Remember, the fire does not sleep, neither shall we. You nod along with the others. Most here are commoners, carpenters, laborers, even former gamblers, drawn together by skill, grit, and a certain reckless pride. It wasn't always this way. In the early days of Edo's growth, fire was fought chaotically, neighbors forming bucket lines, samurai retainers attempting crude fire breaks, monks praying fervently for rain. The Great Fire of Mereki changed everything. That inferno consumed nearly 2/3 of the city in 1657. Over 100,000 lives lost. Temples, mansions, entire districts reduced to ash. In its aftermath, the shogunate faced an uncomfortable truth: no amount of prayer or honor could stop a firestorm. Thus was born the official firefighting system. You climb the tower's ladder, recalling what you've learned. The earliest brigades, known as Jobikeshi, were samurai-led and focused more on protecting government buildings than aiding the common folk. Their efforts were valiant but limited. It was not until the formation of the Machibikeshi fire brigades, drawn from the townspeople, that firefighting truly took root in Edo's heart. These crews understood the city's tangled alleys and wooden bones. They fought not for duty, but for the survival of their own neighborhoods. You look out over the rooftops, heart swelling with pride. You are a member of the Machibikeshi, part of a lineage forged in smoke and sweat. Still, it wasn't all civic spirit. The shogunate recognized that an organized force drawn from the merchant class served multiple purposes. It protected the city, but also kept potential troublemakers too busy and too loyal to stir rebellion. Historians debate whether this dual motive fostered a culture of honor or of strategic co-optation. You suspect the truth lies somewhere in between. The sun climbs higher. From your vantage point, you see the city's fire towers rising like sentinels, each manned by vigilant hikeshi. Bright banners flap in the breeze, marking brigade territories. Rivalries run deep, but in the face of true danger, these banners unite. Below, an apprentice hauls fresh buckets up the tower. You grin and help steady the load. Water remains the lifeblood of your craft, though not always in ways outsiders expect. You scan the skyline once more. All is calm for now, but you know better than to trust the quiet. You descend and join your comrades. The captain unrolls a worn map of the district, tracing potential hazard zones. Tea houses, bathhouses, crowded markets, each a tinderbox in its own right. "We will patrol here tonight," he says, jabbing a calloused finger at a dense cluster of shops. "Watch the rooftops. Trust your nose. The fire hides well." You nod, resolve hardening. This is your city, your charge. Through sweat and courage, the hikeshi keep its heart beating. And tonight, as always, the dance with fire begins anew. You hoist your gear and follow your captain into the bustling streets, your heart beating a little faster with pride. The hikeshi, the very word, stirs something deep within you. To the people of Edo, firefighters are more than a civic necessity. They are heroes, legends, even stars of the city's restless drama. You and your comrades turn onto a busy avenue, weaving through streams of merchants and artisans. A child spots your group and tugs at his mother's sleeve. Eyes wide with admiration, she bows slightly as you pass. Respect, sometimes tinged with fear, clings to your footsteps like the smoke you chase. Historians still argue whether this reverence grew from genuine gratitude or from a mix of awe and superstition. Either way, you feel its weight. At the next crossroads, you halt. Before you stands the shrine of Homusubi no Kami, the kami of fire. A few coins clink into the offering box as your captain leads a brief prayer, not to summon flames, but to ward them off. Then comes the ritual that defines your brotherhood. Each Haikashi brigade bears its own matoi, a tall, elaborate standard, crowned with symbols and tassels. When raised during a fire, it marks your presence and your claim over the battlefield of flame. You watch as your brigade's youngest member carefully unwraps your matoi, reverently polishing its wooden shaft. It gleams in the sun, its crimson tassels dancing in the breeze. A deep voice draws your gaze. An elder Hikishi, his arms a canvas of swirling dragons and storm clouds, steps forward to address the group. "Brothers," he says, voice rough with years of smoke and sake, "never forget who we are." The Haikashi are not warriors, though many here could hold their own against a samurai. Nor are you monks or merchants. You are craftsmen of courage, artisans of chaos. When the flames rise, it is your boots that pound the rooftops, your hands that tear down timbers to starve the fire, your bodies that risk the fall, and you wear your stories on your skin. You glance at the tattoos adorning your comrades, intricate masterpieces inked over countless painful hours. Dragons, tigers, fierce waves, all symbols of protection and strength. Once, the government frowned upon such displays. But over time, these tattoos became a badge of honor among the Hikishi, a visual testament to the risk borne in the blazes faced. Historians still debate whether the Hikishi tattoos originated as spiritual talismans or as a rebellious counterculture. You suspect both are true. You shoulder your pole hook, its iron tip gleaming wickedly. It is not water that wins the fight here, but strategy, speed, and demolition. When a fire takes hold, your job is often to tear down buildings ahead of it, denying it fuel. A brutal, necessary calculus. Your captain calls the roll. Names echo down the line, gruff voices answering in turn. Then he nods. "Tonight we patrol the theater district. Tight alleys, high risk. Stay sharp." You fall into step with your comrades, boots striking rhythm on sun-warmed stones. As you move, shopkeepers bow and beckon, offering rice balls and tea. You accept with gratitude. The Haikashi walk a thin line, guardians of the people, yet feared for their rough edges. Stories abound of rival brigades, brawling in the streets, of matoi torn down in drunken pride. Yet when the smoke rises, differences vanish. All Hikishi know the same truth: fire takes no sides. You pause at a crowded square, where an elderly storyteller spins tales of a legendary Hikishi who once leapt from a burning rooftop with a child cradled in his arms. Children gasp, faces alight with wonder. You smile faintly. The stories may be embellished, but the spirit rings true. For in this city of fleeting beauty and ever-present danger, the Hikishi stand as both shield and symbol. Your life is a dance with fire, perilous, proud, and endlessly compelling. And tonight, the dance begins again. The sun edges lower as you and your fellow Hikishi approach the theater district, its narrow alleys already alive with anticipation. Lanterns sway above the crowds, their paper skins glowing like small suns, a beautiful sight and a firefighter's worst nightmare. You glance at your comrades, taking in their distinctive garb. To the people of Edo, Hikishi are instantly recognizable, not just by your swagger, but by what you wear. Your firefighting jacket, a Haikashi banten, is no ordinary garment. On the outside, it appears simple, thick, indigo-dyed, cotton-stitched, layer upon layer to resist both flame and falling debris. But the real artistry lies within. You think of your own jacket now folded in your kit. Inside, master artisans have painted a vivid scene, a coiling dragon entwined with thunderclouds, eyes blazing with fierce protection. It's a private source of strength revealed only when the jacket is soaked in reverse during a blaze. Historians still argue whether these hidden images were purely symbolic or served as spiritual armor. You suspect they do both. You pass a tea house, its proprietor offering respectful bows. Patrons peer out, admiring your brigade's attire. The jackets are but one part of the spectacle. Each man wears a hachimaki, a cloth headband knotted with care. Some opt for plain white, others for elaborate patterns. Yours bears the character for endure. Around your waist is a stout sash wound tightly to brace your core. It's both functional and a mark of discipline. Over it hangs your sasumata, a forked pole used to pull down burning beams, or, if needed, restrain panicked citizens. And then there are the tattoos. You fall into step beside a veteran Hikishi, his arms fully inked with crashing waves and leaping carp. The artwork ripples as he moves, a silent testament to the blazes he's faced. In the public eye, these tattoos evoke both admiration and unease. They mark you as one, apart from polite society, part hero, part rogue. You remember your own first tattoo session, the sting of the needle, the rhythmic chant of the artist, the rising pain eclipsed by a deeper resolve. When the final lines were inked, you stood taller, not just a man, but a brother of the flame. Historians debate whether these tattoos began as protective charms or as marks of defiance against samurai codes. Around the clubhouse, the older hands will tell you both stories over sake with knowing smiles. You reach a small square where rival brigade members lounge beneath a lantern-strung awning. Their matoi leans nearby tassels, flickering in the breeze. They eye your crew with measured calm. The unspoken rules hold this is neutral ground for now. You adjust your banton and nod politely. Reputation here matters as much as skill. Firefighting is as much theater as it is craft, a fact you've come to embrace. At major blazes, crowds gather to watch the haikeshi in action. They cheer daring stunts, men scaling ladders with matoi held aloft, balancing on swaying beams amid swirling smoke. Showmanship counts, courage is currency. A fellow haikeshi grins at you, whispering, "Tonight, perhaps we give them a show." You chuckle softly. Perhaps. Yet beneath the flair lies true purpose. You know what will happen when the alarm sounds. Jackets will be reversed and soaked, revealing fierce inner images. Tattoos will glisten with sweat and spray. Men will leap into infernos armed with pole hooks and sheer resolve. And amid it all, the people will watch, spellbound, inspired, reminded that amid this fragile wooden city, someone dares to stand between them and the flames. The sun dips lower. You sling your gear over your shoulder and follow your captain deeper into the district. Tonight, you wear more than a jacket. You wear history, honor, and a legacy inked into both fabric and flesh. You arrive at the training yard just as the first stars prick the darkening sky. It's a modest space tucked behind a merchant's warehouse known to all hikshi in the district. Here, amid stacks of timber and coiled ropes, you hone the skills that turn raw courage into calculated action. Your captain barks orders, his voice cutting through the dusk. Form, ranks, ladders up. You and your comrades spring into motion. Long bamboo ladders lashed with iron fittings or hoisted skyward with practiced ease. Their lightness is deceptive. On a swaying rooftop, they become lifelines. Historians still argue whether the acrobatic feats of the haikeshi emerge from necessity or from a deep-seated love of spectacle. You know this much when the flames roar and the beams creak beneath your feet. These drills are what save lives. You grip the ladder's rungs and begin to climb, a body flowing through movements drilled into muscle memory. Higher, higher until the ground becomes a distant blur. At the top, you balance on the ladder's narrow apex arms spread wide. A light breeze brushes your face. Below, apprentices watch in silent awe. A grin tugs at your lips. The first time you attempted this stunt, your legs shook so violently you nearly toppled. Now it feels like flying. Descend with control, the captain calls. You do, limbs flowing with deliberate grace. Back on solid ground, your breath comes fast but steady. Next comes the bucket drill. A line forms, men passing heavy wooden buckets brimming with water from hand to hand. The rhythm must be perfect. A single fumble can cost precious seconds. You slide into place, palms slick with sweat. The buckets thud rhythmically between your comrades, water sloshing in dark arcs. Speed and precision, your silent mantra. Nearby, a team rehearses rooftop maneuvers. They dart across angled beams with pole hooks in hand, practicing the art of controlled demolition. In Edo, water alone rarely quells a blaze. The true strategy lies in creating fire breaks, tearing down buildings to starve the flames. Brutal, yes, but effective. You pause to watch as a veteran swings his hook with practiced force, yanking loose a heavy beam. It crashes down in a cloud of dust, a reminder of the raw power required. Historians debate whether the haikeshi's focus on demolition over direct firefighting was born of pragmatism or sheer desperation. You suspect both forces shaped the craft. Rope drill comes the next command. You seize a thick coil of hemp rope and join your team. In tight alleys and tangled rooftops, ropes become vital, used to stabilize ladders, hoist tools, even lower trap civilians. Together you rehearse knotwork, rapid hoists, and controlled descents. The rope burns your palms, the fibers rough but familiar. A final test remains. Your captain unrolls a sodden quilt, a heavy fire blanket. Drenched in water, it becomes a shield against flame and ember. Two men grasp its corners and sprint toward a makeshift frame. You join them, ducking beneath the blanket as they throw it overhead. Inside the sweltering cocoon, your breath quickens. Heat and smoke press close, claustrophobic. You force yourself to stay calm, counting heartbeats until the drill ends. Emerging, you gasp cool air. Sweat drenches your brow, but a fierce grin spreads across your face. "Good," the captain says, eyes twinkling beneath his stern exterior. "You'll live another fire yet." The drills wind down as moonlight bathes the yard. Muscles ache, hands throb. but you feel alive, bonded ever tighter to this brotherhood of smoke and steel. As you gather your gear, a grizzled Haikeshi claps your shoulder. "Remember," he says softly, "we train for the worst, but we fight for the city. Never forget the faces behind those screens and shutters." You nod, the weight of his words settling deep within. Tomorrow the city will wake anew, its beauty and fragility entwined, and you, Haikeshi, will be ready to meet the flames once more. The moon now hangs high over Edo, casting silver patterns on tile and timber. You and your comrades make your way back through quiet streets, muscles still humming from the evening's drills. Ahead, near the entrance to your district, a tall standard gleams beneath the lantern light, your brigade's matoi. It stands proud and still, a silent symbol of your presence. But when raised and carried into the heart of flame, it becomes something more, a beacon of courage, a call to arms, a rallying point for those who run toward danger while others flee. Historians still argue whether the matoi's origins lie in battlefield banners or temple processions. Regardless, in Edo's firefighting world, it reigns supreme. You approach the matoi with reverence. Its lacquered pole is smooth beneath your fingertips, the iron fittings cool to the touch. At its crown, a crossbar supports elaborate tassels dyed crimson and gold colors, chosen to catch the eye even through dense smoke. When a fire breaks out, the brigade's first act is to seize the matoi. Its bearer, a man chosen for strength and daring, will rush ahead, climbing rooftops or scaffoldings to plant the banner high above the chaos. From afar, citizens can glimpse the matoi amid the smoke and know the Hikshi are here. You remember your first great fire, a roaring inferno in the warehouse district. The air had trembled with heat, timbers cracked like gunshots, and there against a backdrop of flames, the matoi rose defiant, unwavering. That image burned itself into your memory more deeply than any tattoo. Your brigade's matoi bears the emblem of your district, a stylized wave entwined with a pine bough. Each brigade designs its own drawing from local lore and identity. Rivalries run deep, and during festivals or rare joint operations, these banners become the focus of fierce pride. You smile, recalling tales of matoi bearers who performed daring rooftop acrobatics, balancing on single beams, waving the standard to inspire comrades below. The crowd's cheers mingled with the crackle of burning wood, creating a strange electric music. Tonight, you practice the matoi drill. The chosen bearer, a wiry man with the agility of a monkey, grasps the pole and sprints toward a wooden platform. With a powerful leap, he ascends, driving the banner high. The tassels flutter against the night sky. The brigade erupts in cheers. Then comes the hard part, maintaining position amid imagined smoke and wind. The bearer plants his feet, wide muscles, taut eyes, scanning the invisible battlefield. You join the ground crew, practicing the signals used to guide the bearer's actions, urgent gestures honed over countless fires. Clear communication can mean the difference between triumph and tragedy. Historians debate whether the matoi served more as a tactical tool or a psychological weapon. You've seen its power firsthand. To citizens, it brings hope. To rival brigades, it declares territorial dominance. And to arsonists, those despised bringers of flame, it sends a chilling message: the Hikshi are watching. Drill complete, the matoi is carefully lowered, wiped clean, and returned to its stand. You help coil its carrying straps, fingers lingering on the worn leather. "She stood tall tonight," the captain murmurs. You nod in agreement. As you disperse for the evening, the matoi remains silent guardian of streets that slumber in fragile peace. You glance upward once more, tracing its silhouette against the stars. It reminds you why you rise at the call of smoke and flame, not for glory, but for the soul of the city. And when the next fire comes, you will follow that banner into the heart of chaos once again. You wake before dawn to the distant toll of temple bells, a low rolling sound that seeps through the paper walls of your modest lodging. Another day in Edo, another dance with unseen danger. After a quick meal of rice and pickled radish, you sling your gear across your back and head out. Today's patrol is different. You'll be shadowing the district's senior fire spotter, a man whose senses are said to be as keen as any hawk's. Historians still argue whether fire detection in Edo relied more on human vigilance or sheer luck. You're about to witness just how finely tuned a Hikeshi's instincts must become. You find the spotter, a lean, sharp-eyed elder, already atop a neighborhood watchtower. He greets you with a nod and gestures for you to climb. The tower is modest, but well-placed. From its wooden platform, the city spreads beneath you, rooftops layered like scales on some sleeping beast. Smoke curls lazily from chimneys, innocent for now. Rule 1, the elder says softly, smoke is not fire, but it sings the same song. You scan the skyline. On dry, windy days like this, vigilance is everything. A single unseen ember could become catastrophe. Rule 2, he continues. Listen. You close your eyes. Beneath the city's waking hum, you detect subtle cues, the distant crackle of kindling, the sharp pop of pine resin, the frantic flutter of birds disturbed from their roosts. Birds flee before flames, the elder murmurs. When the sky empties, you'd best be ready. You open your eyes, heart thudding. The lesson is stark. In a city of wood and paper, nature offers warnings if one knows how to hear them. Historians debate whether Edo's fire spotters were chosen for training or for an almost mystical sixth sense. As you watch the elder work, you suspect a blend of both. Suddenly, a sharp clang splits the air, a fire alarm bell from a neighboring district. Come, the elder says briskly. You descend the tower and sprint after him. As you run, you note how the warning spreads. Young boys dash through alleys banging metal gongs. Women shout warnings from balconies. Watchmen unfurl signal flags from tower tops, color-coded to indicate the fire's location and severity. At a crowded intersection, a fellow Haikeshi points skyward, their thin black smoke rising swiftly. Warehouse district, someone shouts. Your blood runs cold. Packed with goods in narrow lanes, it's a death trap waiting to happen. Your brigade rallies with practiced speed. Buckets are filled hooks, prepared ropes coiled tight, and at the front, the matoi bearer stands ready, standard held high. As you move, the city shifts around you. Shopkeepers douse lanterns and shutter windows. Children are herded to safety. Even the bustling river traffic slows boatmen scanning the skyline for signs of danger. You marvel at this unspoken choreography, a living system shaped by centuries of hard-earned wisdom. Historians still argue whether Edo's famed communal fire response was driven by altruism or by sheer self-preservation. In moments like this, the distinction blurs. Reaching the district, you find the fire mercifully small, a storage shed flames licking at its roof. Under shouted orders, your brigade springs into action. Buckets fly hooks, tear away burning beams, and the matoi rises above the smoke, declaring your presence. You focus on containment, moving with precision, honed through endless drills. Within minutes, the flames gutter and die, beaten back by courage and coordination. As the smoke clears, grateful citizens emerge, offering tea and hurried thanks. You nod, weary but relieved. Good eyes, your captain says, clapping your shoulder. You glance upwards, seeking the elder spotter. He watches from a distant rooftop, eyes gleaming with quiet satisfaction. Rule 3, you recall. When in doubt, trust the city. It speaks if you listen. You will remember that. As the brigade disperses, you take one last look at the sky. The smoke is gone. For now, Edo breathes easy. But vigilance is eternal. And so you walk on eyes, sharp ears tuned ready for the city's next whispered warning. The city settles once more, smoke dispersed by the midday breeze. You and your comrades return to the brigade's storehouse, a modest wooden building tucked between a noodle shop and a temple wall. Inside, the tools of your trade await humble objects that become instruments of salvation when flames strike. You roll up your sleeves, ready for maintenance duty. For a Hikeshi, caring for gear is a sacred ritual. Tools must be trusted as extensions of your own hands. Historians still argue whether Edo's firefighting tools were ingeniously simple or simply born of necessity. You know this much: when the city ignites, simplicity saves lives. You start with the buckets, OKE, carved from cedar staves bound by iron hoops. The wood breathes, swelling when soaked to form a watertight seal. You check for cracks, testing each bucket's balance. Next come the pole hooks, tobiguchi. These long wooden shafts end in wickedly curved iron blades. You run a whetstone along one now, the rasp of metal sharp in the quiet room. In battle, the tobiguchi becomes your scalpel. You use it to tear down walls, pull blazing beams from rooftops, and pry open jammed doors. More than once, a well-swung hook has turned the tide of a fire. Nearby, a younger Hikeshi oils a set of Kaginawa hooked ropes used for climbing, hauling, and controlled demolition. You test the hemp coils, fingers familiar with their rough weave. Remember, your captain often says the rope saves more lives than the blade. You've seen it catch falling comrades, steady ladders, and even lower terrified children to safety. In the corner, a stack of tatami butane thick quilted fire blankets await inspection. You heft one. When soaked and draped over doorways or flammable goods, these humble quilts can buy precious minutes. Historians debate whether the use of tatami butane was a homegrown innovation or borrowed from foreign traders. Either way, you bless the unknown mind that first conceived it. You move next to the matoi stand. The standard rests here between alarms, its tassels neatly combed, its pole freshly waxed. You check its fittings, tightening each with reverent care. She must always fly true, your captain reminds you. A sagging banner can sow panic. A proud one steals the heart. Along one wall hangs a curious assortment conch shells, gongs, wooden clappers. These are your alarms, each sound carrying a different meaning. You lift a conch shell, testing its mournful wail. In narrow alleys and crowded markets, this eerie call can pierce through the thickest smoke. Nearby, a young recruit practices striking the Hyoshigitu wooden clappers. Their sharp clack-clack once signaled fire at night, summoning all hands. Never mock the clappers, an old Haikeshi once told you. Their voice saved more lives than any blade. You finish your rounds, hands tingling from the tactile communion with your tools. Each bears the marks of past battles, scars that whisper of fires fought and comrades lost. In a corner of the storehouse sits a battered helmet kabuto, its lacquer chipped, its crest faded. You pause before it, offering a silent bow. Historians still argue whether Haikeshi wore helmets for protection or pageantry. The truth is both. In this city of spectacle, even survival wears a mask of ceremony. Your captain enters, nodding approval at your work. The tools remember, he says. Treat them well and they'll carry you through the smoke. Outside, the sun dips toward the horizon. Shadows lengthen across the tiled roofs. Somewhere a brazier crackles too brightly. You sling your gear over your shoulder. The tools are ready. You are ready. For in Edo, the next alarm is never far away. The alarm comes at dusk. A sudden clang of temple bells, sharp and insistent. You're already moving before the second peal echoes. Years of drills have trained your body to react faster than thought. Warehouse district again, someone shouts. A curse ripples through your brigade. That maze of timber and paper is a tinderbox waiting to betray you. You seize your gear, a hook, a coil of rope, a soaked fire jacket, and fall in with your comrades. The matoi bearer hoists the banner, high its tassels, flaring crimson against the darkening sky. Historians still argue whether the Hikashi's approach to fighting fire demolition over dousing was born of wisdom or grim necessity. You know firsthand that when flames move faster than water, the only path is through. You sprint through winding alleys, lungs burning. The rising column of smoke guides you, a dark pillar against the twilight. Crowds part as you pass faces pale with fear and hope. Reaching the district, you're met by chaos. Flames leap from a warehouse roof, embers swirling like fireflies. A bucket line snakes from a nearby canal, citizens passing water with frantic urgency. Your captain surveys the scene, eyes narrowing. No water battle tonight, he says grimly. We cut her down. You know what this means. Water won't save these cramped, dry lanes. Instead, you'll carve a fire break, tearing down buildings ahead of the flames to rob them of fuel. Hooks and ropes here, quilts there, matoi high. Orders fly. You race to the nearest structure, heart hammering. A merchant storehouse, sturdy but doomed if the fire spreads. You climb swiftly, hook in hand, the roof tiles slick beneath your feet. Smoke stings your eyes, turning the world to shifting shadow. Ropes ready, comes the cry below. You anchor your line and swing the hook, its iron bite sinking deep into a beam. A grunt, a heave, and the timber groans splintering in protest. Below, your comrades catch the falling debris, dragging it clear. Sparks dance wildly, but the gap widens, your first victory. More pull, faster. You move with relentless rhythm, muscles burning. Each beam torn down buys precious seconds. Each cleared space a shield for the untouched buildings beyond. Suddenly a crash, a collapsing wall sends a plume of smoke and embers skyward. For a heartbeat, the world vanishes in choking blackness. You cough, hard, eyes streaming. Around you, the brigade holds firm faces, grim but unbroken. Steady we stand. The matoi sways high above a beacon of resolve. Historians debate whether these moments forged the Haikashi's fierce camaraderie or simply revealed it. In this crucible of flame and fear, brotherhood is not an ideal, it is survival. Another beam yields beneath your hook. Another wall falls. The fire hesitates, starved and staggering. At last, a shout, "She's breaking, hold the line!" The flames falter, robbed of their path. Water crews douse the dying edges, steam hissing like a serpent retreating. You slump to your knees, sweat and soot streaking your skin. Around you, comrades clasp arms, grins splitting weary faces. The captain's voice cuts through the smoky haze. Well done, Hikeshi. Edo sleeps tonight because of you. Relief floods your veins. You fought the fire not with water alone, but with daring strategy and sacrifice. As the bucket lines fade and citizens emerge wide-eyed and grateful, you know the truth, this is the essence of your craft. Not glory, not fame, just the quiet victory of a city saved beam by beam, breath by breath. You rise, shoulders aching, ready for whatever dawn may bring. In Edo, the next dance with fire is always just beyond the horizon. The warehouse district smolders behind you, its immediate danger tamed. But as your brigade winds through the lantern-lit streets toward your quarters, another kind of tension coils in the air, one not born of flames, but of rivalry. You pass a sake house where another Haikeshi brigade lounges beneath a row of paper lanterns, their matoi leaning conspicuously nearby. Their gazes track your group with a mix of grudging respect and territorial pride. You feel it too, that subtle itch beneath the soot and sweat. Tonight you save the district, but in Edo's firefighting world, victories are never free of competition. Historians still argue whether the fierce rivalries between Haikeshi brigades strengthen or undermine their effectiveness. You've seen both sides. Pride drives men to heroic feats and sometimes to foolish brawls. Your captain calls a halt at a crossroads. The rival brigade rises in unison, a silent challenge shimmering in the humid night. For a heartbeat, the city holds its breath. You adjust your sash muscles, tensing. Tales of brigade clashes are as old as the Haikeshi themselves. Some began with shouted boasts, others with stolen matoi. A few ended with blood on the cobblestones. The root of this friction lies in Edo's firefighting system. Each district boasts its own brigade, funded and fiercely supported by local merchants. Success brings honor and patronage. Failure courts shame. And so, when flames rise, brigades race to claim the fight. The first matoi planted signals both dominance and duty, a visible stake in the city's survival. You recall a notorious clash from last year, a market blaze where two brigades arrived within moments of each other. Words turned to shoves to fists. By the time order was restored, the fire had doubled in size. A curse on pride, your captain muttered then. You remember his bitter gaze. Yet even he cannot fully escape the pull of rivalry. Now beneath the watchful eyes of passers-by, the standoff teeters on a knife's edge. A rival Haikeshi steps forward, arms folded over a sea dragon tattoo. Quick tonight were you, he calls, voice edged with challenge. Your captain replies coolly, quick enough to leave a roof standing. A ripple of laughter from your brigade. The rival's jaw tightens. Historians debate whether such exchanges were tolerated as a release valve or quietly condoned by the shogunate to keep Haikeshi loyal yet competitive. You suspect both motives swirl beneath the surface. Another time, the rival says at last, stepping back. The tension eases like smoke thinning after rain. Your brigade moves on the city's pulse resuming around you. Yet the undercurrent of rivalry remains a constant crackling energy within Edo's firefighting world. Later, over sake at your clubhouse, the stories will flow. Did you see their matoi sway? One man will boast. We'd have taken their beam if not for the captain's call. Another will grin. You'll listen half smiling. For beneath the bravado lies truth. These rivalries forge sharper skills and fiercer hearts. But they also demand wisdom to know when to stand firm and when to yield. As the city slumbers once more, you reflect on this delicate balance. Tomorrow, the rival brigade may fight beside you. Flames do not respect banners or borders. In the crucible of fire, even enemies become brothers. But tonight, pride lingers like embers beneath ash. And in Edo's restless heart, the next spark of rivalry waits unseen. Morning light filters through paper screens, painting soft patterns across the floorboards of your brigade's clubhouse. Muscles still ache from last night's battle, but today brings no rest. Instead, it brings a different kind of performance, one that requires no flame at all. You rise, don your clean fire jacket, and join your comrades outside where a festival atmosphere hums through the streets. Crowds gather in colorful waves, children perched on shoulders, vendors hawking sweets and trinkets. All await the day's spectacle, the Haikeshi's fire stunts. Historians still argue whether these public displays originated as genuine training or evolved into deliberate street theater. You know firsthand they are both. You fall into formation behind your captain, matoi, gleaming high above. The crowd parts as your brigade strides forward, boots striking rhythmic echoes against stone. At the square, a makeshift stage of stacked scaffolding awaits. Ropes dangle like jungle vines and bamboo ladders rise to improbable heights. Positions, comes the call. Your heart beats faster, not from fear, but from a familiar thrill. These stunts honor your craft's daring roots and remind the people that amid wood and paper, the Haikeshi stand ready. The performance begins. The matoi bearer ascends first, leaping from rung to rung until he perches atop the tallest ladder. With one arm, he raises the banner high. With the other, he waves to the roaring crowd. Next, pairs of Haikeshi race up parallel ladders, performing daring flips and gravity-defying holds. You watch breath held as one man balances upside-down toes, hooked around bamboo while smoke pots release dramatic curls below. "Let them see your courage," the captain shouts. Now it's your turn. You grip the cool bamboo and climb swiftly, hard hammering with each step. At the summit, you brace against the swaying frame. Below, a sea of upturned faces watches mouths agape. With practiced grace, you extend one leg and lean far outward, holding the pose as smoke coils around you. Cheers erupt, a river of sound that buoys your trembling limbs. Historians debate whether such displays boosted morale or courted disaster. In truth, they do both. For every triumphant stunt, there are whispered tales of men who fell martyrs to pride or fate. You descend with care, legs quivering. On the ground, comrades clasp your shoulders in silent congratulation. The show continues, hooks swung in choreographed arcs, mock demolitions performed with theatrical flair. The air thrums with drumming and chants, each beat sinking hearts and breath. Through it all, you sense the deeper purpose. In a city where fire lurks behind every door, fear can paralyze. These performances remind the people that their guardians face danger, not with dread, but with skill and spirit. Children tug at their parents' eyes shining. Elders nod knowingly, memories stirred. Merchants slip coins into donation boxes, their livelihoods often saved by Hikshi hands. "We give them courage," your captain says quietly beside you, "and in return they give us purpose." As the sun climbs, the festival swells into a joyous tide. Sock flows songs rise and rival brigades mingle tonight's enemies, becoming today's comrades beneath shared banners. You sip sweet rice wine, watching a young boy trace the Matoi's emblem with awed fingers. In his wide eyes, you glimpse the future, a new generation drawn to the flames' dance. Later, as dusk falls and lanterns glow once more, you reflect on the day's spectacle. Showmanship, yes, but also a silent pact that in Edo's fragile world, when the true flames rise, the Hikshi will stand first and fall last if they must. With this thought warming your heart, you shoulder your gear and vanish into the crowd. The real theater, after all, is never far away. You return to the clubhouse well after sunset, the festival's echo still lingering in your bones. The streets lie quieter now, though lanterns flicker in doorways and the faint strains of shamisen music drift from distant tea houses. As you strip off your sweat-dampened fire jacket, a familiar thought stirs, one that arises often after such displays. What are we truly in this city's eyes? Historians still argue whether Edo's firefighters were loved as heroes or tolerated as necessary rogues. You live that contradiction daily. Among the common folk, the Hikshi are champions. Your daring feats, visible scars, and willingness to risk life and limb for others win you a special place in their hearts. You think of the merchant who pressed a rice ball into your hand last night, eyes shining with gratitude. Or the child at the festival, gazing up at you with starstruck wonder. "Hikeshi-san will protect us," they whisper. And in that moment, you believe it too. But the admiration has limits. Among the city's elite, the daimyo wealthy merchants and the shogunate's officials, your kind occupies a murkier space. You are necessary, you are skilled, but you are also dangerous. A brotherhood of tattooed men, bound by loyalty to their own rather than to feudal hierarchy, makes those in power uneasy. You've heard the whispered slurs, fire thugs, ladder scoundrels. They forget that when their lacquered mansions blaze, it is your boots that rush in. The complex dance of status defines your world. Formally, you are ranked. The Hikeshi system operates with official sanction. Your captain answers to the city magistrate. You attend periodic inspections, parades, and ceremonies. Yet outside those rituals, you walk a different path. In the pleasure quarters, the Hikeshi strut with bold ease, mingling with geisha and entertainers who admire your scars and swagger. No. Seike houses welcome you with open arms. Your tattoos, forbidden in polite samurai society, draw admiring glances here. This duality shapes your life. On duty, you embody civic virtue. Off duty, you tread the blurred line between protector and outcast. Historians debate whether this tension helped keep the Hikeshi grounded or bred resentment. Around your clubhouse, you see both. Some brothers chase fame too eagerly, their rivalry-fueled antics drawing official ire. Others bear their role with quiet pride, shunning the temptations that come with public adoration. You strive for balance, to wear the jacket with honor, to wield the hook and rope with purpose, and to walk Edo's streets neither humbled by praise nor corrupted by power. Yet you know how quickly that balance can tip. You recall an older Haikeshi, once revered, now a shadow of himself, lost to drink and bitter regrets. His story is a caution often whispered to young recruits: fire burns more than wood, guard your spirit too. Tonight, after the day's spectacle, you feel the weight of this lesson anew. You pour a small cup of sake and sit by the open window, gazing out over the tiled roofs. Somewhere nearby, a brazier crackles softly. In this moment of quiet, you make a vow not to fame nor to fortune, but to the city itself. I will stand when others fall. I will fight with skill, not pride. I will leave no one behind. Simple words, harder to live by. Yet in a city of fleeting beauty and ever-present danger, such vows matter most. You sip the sake, its warmth spreading through your chest. Tomorrow may bring flames, or rivalries, or the silent grind of endless drills. But tonight, beneath the watchful stars, you are content to be what you are, a Haikeshi, both hero and human, in the ever-burning heart of Edo. You wake before dawn, light barely brushing the horizon. Today is a day of ink and iron, a ritual every Haikeshi must face when ready to mark their true belonging. For weeks you've prepared in quiet moments, steeling your mind, testing your resolve. Now the time has come to add your story to your skin. Historians still argue whether Haikeshi tattoos serve primarily as spiritual talismans or bold declarations of identity. In truth, they are both and more. You arrive at the small unmarked shop tucked behind a shrine. Its wooden sign bears no name. Those who need it know where to look. Inside, incense coils lazily. A master tattooist greets you with a knowing nod. His arms are living canvases, dragons coiled in stormy seas. You are ready, he asks. You strip to the waist muscles taut. The design you've chosen, a soaring phoenix entwined with plum blossoms, carries deep meaning. Fire consumes, yet the phoenix rises anew, and plum blossoms first to bloom after winter's harshest grip speak of endurance. As the artist grinds pigment and sharpens his tools, you steady your breath. The process will be long days, perhaps weeks, and the pain unrelenting. Marking the body marks the spirit, an old Haikeshi once told you. Endure the needle and you'll endure the flame. The first prick comes sharp, a spark beneath your skin. You grip the floor mat, jaw clenched. Around you, the air hums with a strange rhythm, part needle's buzz, part ancient chant. Historians debate whether the intricate, full-body tattoos of Edo's firefighters drew from Innu traditions, Chinese lore, or homegrown Yakuza culture. Here, such debates fade beneath each pulsing stroke of ink. Hours pass, sweat beads on your brow, pain blooms and spreads a test of will. Between sessions, you listen to the artist's stories. He speaks of legendary Haikeshi, whose ink seemed to glow amid smoke of dragons believed to shield their wearers from falling beams. Superstition, perhaps. Yet in the heat of battle, when fear coils tight, every symbol of strength matters. Each line you bear connects you to those who came before, the artist says. Wear it with honor, not arrogance. You nod, words sinking deep. As the final session nears, you glimpse yourself in a polished bronze mirror. The phoenix unfurls across your back wings, outstretched in defiance. Plum blossoms trail along your arms, delicate yet enduring. The sight stirs something fierce within you. The pain recedes, replaced by a strange calm. You are not the same man who entered this room. The ink is not mere art, it is testament, memory, and promise. One last mark, the artist says. He inks the brigade's symbol, a small wave at your shoulder's edge. A private bond among brothers who face the flame. When you rise, the world feels sharper. Each breath carries new weight. Outside, the sun has risen. You step into its light, ink gleaming faintly beneath your robe. At the clubhouse, your comrades greet you with knowing smiles. They've walked this path. Now so have you. You wear the city now, your captain says. Never forget why. That night as you drift to sleep, the ink sings beneath your skin a silent oath. To stand when others falter, to rise anew from the ashes, to honor those who burned before you. In Edo, where fire shapes both wood and soul, such vows are never forgotten. The next evening, the air over Edo is heavy and warm, a restless kind of night when smoke seems eager to rise. But tonight, your brigade gathers not for a patrol, nor a public display, nor a desperate charge into flame. Tonight, you return to the heart of your brotherhood, the Haikeshi Clubhouse. Tucked between a rice merchant's storehouse and an old temple wall, the building looks plain from the outside, just another timber structure with faded eaves. But inside, it breathes with life and memory. Historians still argue whether the Haikeshi Clubhouse was primarily a strategic headquarters or a social refuge. You know it is both and much more. You slide open the door to a wave of sound laughter shouts the clink of sake cups. The warm scent of grilled fish and pickled vegetables mingles with faint traces of smoke and oil. Your comrades greet you with rough affection, clapping your shoulders, admiring the fresh ink that now marks you as one of their own. Sit, the captain calls. Drink, you've earned your place. You settle onto the worn tatami mats, a low table laden with bowls and bottles before you. The atmosphere here is unlike any other in Edo. Outside these walls, the Haikeshi walk a narrow path, heroes to some outcasts to others. Here, status dissolves. Veteran and novice carpenter and ex-gambler all sit as equals beneath the banner of shared purpose. To the flame that tests us, someone shouts, raising a cup. And the hands that fight it, comes the chorus. You drink deeply, warmth spreading through your chest. Around you, the clubhouse hums with stories of great fires faced of narrow escapes, of fallen comrades honored with fierce, unspoken pride. The walls bear their own tales. Charred beams rescued from famous blazes. A cracked helmet once worn by a captain who saved 100 lives. A faded scroll listing every man who died with hook in hand. Historians debate whether such relics served as somber reminders or points of pride. Here they do both, fueling the resolve that binds this brotherhood. As the night deepens, the tales grow wilder. One man recounts a legendary rooftop leap, a matoi bearer who soared across an alley to plant the banner amid swirling flame. Another boasts of wrestling an arsonist to the ground with only a soaked fire quilt and sheer grit. You listen enthralled. Some details are surely embellished, every Haikeshi loves a good flourish, but the core truth remains: courage, skill, and camaraderie forge this unique fraternity. Amid the revelry, a quiet moment unfolds. An elder Hikashi, his arms a tapestry of storms and dragons, beckons you close. Wear your ink with humility, he says, voice rough with age and smoke. Fight for the city, not for fame. And when the fire takes one of us, as it always will stand for his memory, you nod solemnly, the weight of his words settling deep. Later, as the night ebbs and lanterns burn low, you linger by the clubhouse's hearth. An old matoi leans in the corner, its tassels faded, but still proud. You trace its worn shaft with reverent fingers. Here in this simple room, surrounded by laughter and ghosts, you feel the true heart of the Haikeshi. Not in the roar of crowds, nor in the thrill of rooftop stunts, but in the quiet bond of those who choose to face the flames together. You rise, bow to the elder, and step out into the cool night. Above, stars shimmer beyond drifting wisps of smoke. And as you walk homeward, the city's fragile beauty sings louder than ever. You are part of its song now, in ink and memory and in fire. You rise late the next morning, head fogged from sake and song. The clubhouse's warmth lingers in your bones. Yet even as you stretch and prepare for the day, a thought nags at you, a truth often unspoken in the Haikeshi world. Behind every man who faces the flames, there are those who keep the embers of life burning. Historians still argue whether the women of the Haikeshi world were passive bystanders or quiet pillars of strength. You've seen enough to know they are the unseen backbone of your brotherhood. You step into the bright streets, weaving through morning crowds. At a bustling market, you spot Okiku, the widow of a famed matoi bearer. She tends a humble tea stall, now her sharp eyes missing nothing. As you approach, she waves you over. Still walking straight after last night, she teases, pouring fragrant tea. You grin sheepishly. Okiku has known you since your apprentice days. Her late husband's name is etched on the clubhouse scroll, a legend whose stories still echo through your ranks. You men fight fire, she says, setting the cup before you. We fight to keep you standing. Her words ring true. The women of the Haikeshi world, wives, mothers, lovers, even sisters, shoulder burdens few outsiders see. When the alarm sounds, it is they who prepare the gear-laced jackets and knot headbands with trembling fingers. When the fires rage, they gather in silent vigils, watching smoke darken the sky, praying for the safe return of their men. And when loss comes, as it inevitably does, they mourn fiercely, then rise to tend the living. You recall a brutal winter blaze when two of your own fell. It was the women who led the mourning rites, who fed the weary, who stitched new banners from ash-streaked cloth. Historians debate whether such roles were born of necessity or of cultural constraint. You see them as acts of quiet defiance, a refusal to be erased from the story of courage. Beyond the hearth, some women take bolder paths. There are tales of Owen, a famed sake brewer's daughter, who once wielded a pole hook to save trapped children. Or of Sachi no Hana, a storyteller whose ballads of Haikeshi bravery inspire recruits to this day. You sip Okiku's tea, the warmth seeping through you. Don't let your ink make you foolish, she says gently. Bravery without wisdom burns fastest. You bow in gratitude. Her counsel carries the weight of lived loss. As you leave, you pass a group of young wives preparing supplies, soaked quilts, rope bundles, simple charms sewn into headbands. Their eyes meet yours not with awe but with steady expectation. They do not seek heroes. They expect you to come home alive. Later back at the clubhouse, you find a fresh bundle by your gear, a thick quilt embroidered with a small plum blossom. Oh, Kiku's work, no doubt. For endurance, the note reads, simple, perfect. That night as you patrol beneath a crescent moon, her words echo within you. In the dance of flame and courage, it is easy to forget those who keep the hearth alive. But you will not forget, Oren, de no error. For in Edo, where every breath may be borrowed, it is the unseen hands, the hands of women, that steady the hearts of men who run toward the fire. And beneath the roar of the crowd, beneath the swirl of ink and smoke, that truth burns brightest of all. The days grow longer, the air thick with the heady sense of summer charcoal smoke, river breeze, and something else that stirs the city's restless heart anticipation. Festival season has arrived, and with it one of Edo's most boisterous and beloved traditions, the Fire Festival. Historians still argue whether these vibrant gatherings began as somber rituals of remembrance or evolved as a public display of Haikishi prowess. In truth, they are both a time to honor the past, celebrate the living, and renew the silent vow between city and brigade. You wake early, donning your finest fire jacket, one reserved for such days. Its indigo surface gleams beneath polished layers. Inside, your phoenix tattoo hums with quiet pride. The clubhouse buzzes with activity. Mats are rolled sake casts stacked high. The matoi bearer tests the gleam of the standard's fittings tassels combed to perfection. Smile today, the captain says, eyes twinkling. We fight flames with courage, but we fight fear with spirit. You step into the sun-drenched streets, joining a procession of banners and ladders. The city thrums with color and sound. Merchants drape their stalls with bright cloth. Children dart between booths, clutching sticky rice treats. Elderly men watch from shaded porches, eyes crinkled with memory. As your brigade parades past, the crowd erupts in cheers. Hikeshi, Hikeshi. You nod, heart swelling. These faces, the same ones you guard through smoke and chaos, now shine with joy and gratitude. At the festival square, rival brigades converge in a swirling sea of banners. The air crackles not with hostility, but with a shared understanding. For today, beneath the banners of flame and courage, all rivalries fade. The opening ceremony begins with solemnity. A priest offers prayers at a small shrine adorned with charred beams, remnants of fires long past. Incense coils rise, carrying whispered names of the fallen. You bow deeply, honoring those whose hooks and hands now rest. Then with a resounding drum beat, the celebration erupts. Matoi bearers race through the crowd, executing breathtaking stunts atop ladders. Rope dancers swing and twirl their silhouettes framed by fluttering banners. Remember this day, an elder murmurs beside you. For when the flames return, and they will, this spirit will carry us through. The festival is not mere spectacle. It is training of the heart. Young Hikeshi learn to stand tall beneath watchful eyes. Veterans teach through quiet example. And the people of Edo, so often one spark away from ruin, are reminded that they are not alone. As the sun dips, the square transforms. Bonfires blaze in controlled rings. Around them, brigades perform ritual dances, their shadows leaping against temple walls. You join your comrades' feet moving in practiced rhythm. The smoke stings, but tonight it is cleansing, not consuming. Laughter mingles with song, sake flows freely. Old tales are retold with new embellishments. The matoi that rose above the great fire of Mireki, someone shouts, prompting a chorus of cheers. You smile, knowing full well that matoi and its bearer belong to legend now. Yet these stories serve a purpose. In a city built of wood and dreams, memory is a shield as vital as any hook or rope. As midnight nears, the flames are doused. Lanterns sway in gentle procession toward the river, carrying prayers and thanks. You release your own lantern, watching its glow drift across dark waters. For the fallen, for the living, for the city that endures. Returning to the clubhouse, weary but buoyed, you glance once more at the silent matoi. Its tassels, soot-kissed, flutter faintly. Tomorrow the watch begins anew. But tonight you have danced with the city's heart. In Edo, where flame and spirit entwine, such nights kindle the courage that holds the darkness at bay. The Fire Festival's embers have barely cooled when a darker shadow casts its pall over Edo's streets. You've heard the rumors, whispers in dim alleys and hushed warnings at tea houses of arsonists, the city's most feared and reviled villains. To Edo's citizens, arson is worse than theft or even murder. A single act of deliberate flame can raze entire neighborhoods, leaving families destitute and dreams ash. Historians still debate whether arson was a symptom of social unrest or the work of isolated madmen. What's certain is that the Haikeshi bear the heavy burden of hunting these unseen enemies. Today, you join a covert meeting in a secluded back room of the clubhouse. The captain lays out the grim details. A rash of suspicious fires has flared in the merchant district. Fires started not by accident, but by cunning hands. The mood is somber, resolve hardened. "Arsonists are ghosts among us," the captain says. "We hunt shadows, but the city depends on us to find them." You and a small team prepare for surveillance patrols, watching, listening, waiting. The nights that follow are tense and silent. You move through alleys wrapped in shadow eyes, sharp for flickers of flame or suspicious movement. At one point, you spot a flicker near a stack of wooden crates, too deliberate to be stray embers. You signal your comrades. The flame is extinguished, quietly evidence collected. Word spreads quickly through the firefighting world. Arson is not just crime, it's betrayal. Caught arsonists face brutal punishments. The shogunate enforces death by burning for those convicted, a grim irony not lost on anyone. You recall stories of infamous arsonists, men driven by vengeance, greed, or madness, whose names are spoken only in fear. Historians debate whether harsh penalties deterred arson or fueled a cycle of secrecy and violence. You wonder how many fires were blamed on ghosts to mask more complex truths. Amid this hunt, your brigade's camaraderie deepens. Trust and vigilance become lifelines. Every patrol feels like a step through a maze where the next shadow might hide disaster. You spend nights listening to the city's whispers, the creak of shutters, the hiss of distant embers, the murmured prayers of anxious neighbors. One night, a narrow escape leaves you shaken. A fire breaks out, suddenly flames leaping with unnatural speed. Your team fights bravely, but the spark's source remains elusive. The arsonist is clever, ghost-like, but so are the Hikeshi. Each new dawn brings renewed determination. You study patterns, listen for clues, and watch for the faintest signs: a misplaced torch, a hurried step, a whispered plan. The city may burn, but its defenders will not relent. In Edo, where fire can mean both life and death, the battle against flame's human enemies is never-ending. And you Haikeshi stand at the front, guardian, hunter, and shield. As dawn breaks, the weight of last night's hunt lingers in your bones. Firefighting is more than heroism. It's a livelihood, a business woven into Edo's complex social fabric. Today you join a meeting with local merchants and patrons who fund your brigade. Their expectations are clear: protect their neighborhoods, safeguard their goods, and maintain order. Historians still debate whether Haikeshi operated primarily as public servants or as guild-like entities serving private interests. You know the truth is a tangled blend of both. The room buzzes with negotiations over funding, rice sake coin exchanged for prompt and effective service. Merchants speak of their warehouses, shops, and prized silks, their voices edged with urgency. You listen, aware that your brigade's survival depends on maintaining these relationships. Without patronage, your gear, your food, and your very place in the city could vanish. Yet such arrangements breed complexity. Bribery and favoritism sometimes shadow the fires you fight. Certain neighborhoods receive swifter response while others wait in peril. You've seen the tension this causes: resentment simmering among both citizens and Hikeshi alike. Still, within this economic dance, there's honor too. Many patrons are true supporters, invested in the city's well-being and the safety of their neighbors. Your captain speaks bluntly, navigating these waters with a mix of pragmatism and principle. We serve all, he says, but we must also survive. You nod, understanding the delicate balance. Outside, the city hums with commerce. Water carriers haul barrels to markets. Fishermen unload their catch. Carpenters repair fire-damaged roofs with practiced hands. In this world, fire is both threat and opportunity, a force that can ruin fortunes or inspire renewal. You reflect on stories of brigades paid extra to guard wealthy estates during festivals, or of those who quietly accepted gifts for added vigilance. Such is the business of fire. Historians debate whether this pragmatic approach undermined the Hikeshi's honor or simply reflected the realities of Edo's sprawling metropolis. For you, it means walking a fine line between duty, survival, and the sometimes blurry ethics of patronage. As the sun sets, you prepare your gear for another night. The city's flickering lanterns remind you fire is never far, and neither is the complex world that supports your fight. You take a deep breath, steadying yourself. In Edo, every ember carries a story, and every firefighter must write their own. The streets of Edo teem with life and color as you make your way toward the bustling market district. Today, your eyes catch glimpses of vibrant woodblock prints, ukiyo-e pinned in shop windows fluttering in the breeze. These prints tell stories of kabuki actors, serene landscapes, and most captivating to you, the hikashi themselves. Bold figures, tattoos sprawling like living storms across their skin, wielding hooks and carrying matoi beneath skies lit with flames. Historians still debate whether ukiyo-e exaggerated the hikashi's deeds or captured their true essence. As you study one, you sense a mix of fact and myth, heroism and spectacle. One print depicts a famous fire from years past, a lone hikashi standing atop a crumbling rooftop, holding the matoi high against a backdrop of fire and smoke. The image is dramatic, almost cinematic. You've heard tales of the man, the matoi bearer, who saved his district single-handedly. The print immortalizes his courage, turning flesh and blood into legend. Another shows a group of hikashi battling flames with fierce determination, ropes taut and hooks swinging. The faces are fierce tattoos, vibrant. Such images fuel the city's imagination and pride. They inspire young men like yourself to join the ranks, dreaming of the day their own deeds might be immortalized. But these prints also carry deeper meaning. They serve as cultural touchstones, reminders of the hikashi's vital role in Edo's survival and identity. You visit a printmaker's shop, the air thick with ink and paper. The artist, a weazened man with nimble fingers, notices your interest. The hikashi are more than men with hooks, he says. They are symbols of resilience captured in every line and color. You not understanding that through these prints, the hikashi transcends smoke and ash. They become enduring emblems of courage. Beyond artistry, these images influence public perception. They help elevate firefighters from mere laborers to folk heroes, figures of admiration and myth. Historians debate whether this elevation helped the hikashi gain respect or set unrealistic expectations. You suspect it's a bit of both. As you leave the shop clutching a small print for your own collection, you feel a renewed sense of purpose. One day your story too may be told in ink and color. For now, you carry it in sweat scars and quiet deeds, living proof that behind every legend stands a man willing to face the fire. The days grow shorter, and the autumn breeze carries a crispness that sharpens the senses. In Edo, the changing seasons bring more than cooler air. They signal shifts in fire risk and a renewed focus on prevention. You walk through your district, noting the subtle signs of preparation. Merchants clear flammable debris from their storefronts. Households reinforce their rain barrels. Public notices warn of dry spells and wind. Historians still argue whether Edo's fire prevention efforts were proactive city planning or reactive measures born from hard lessons. You know it's a bit of both. One invention you admire is the wide stone fire breaks installed along certain streets gaps that slow the advance of flames. You run your hand along one such stone wall, feeling the cool, rough surface beneath your fingers. Some neighborhoods have adopted fireproof plaster coatings, mud and clay layered thickly over wooden beams to slow combustion. Though imperfect, these measures have saved lives. You pass a small shrine dedicated to Hinokagutsuchi, the fire god. Offerings of rice and sake lie at its base, a spiritual plea to keep flames at bay. Beyond physical barriers, the city relies on vigilance. Watchtowers dot the skyline, manned day and night by alert eyes. Bells, gongs, and conch shells form a complex early warning network. You stop at a bustling market where signs remind vendors to extinguish lanterns and keep braziers away from paper goods. You recall an old saying, better a wet jacket than a dry tear? The meaning is clear. Prevention, not just bravery, is key. Historians debate whether some of Edo's prevention rules were strictly enforced or largely ignored. You suspect enforcement varied with the season, the district, and the favor of local officials. Still, the culture of caution is deeply ingrained. From childhood, Edoites learn the dangers of fire, how to handle lamps, where to store flammable materials, and how to respond quickly to alarms. You reflect on how prevention shapes your own work. A well-maintained rope, a clean bucket, a swift patrol can mean the difference between disaster and safety. In the evenings, you visit households known for diligent fireproofing, offering advice and checks. These moments of quiet service forge bonds between hikashi and citizenry. As night falls, the city glows softly, lanterns twinkling like stars caught in the streets. You feel a profound respect for the delicate balance that keeps Edo breathing. In a city built of wood and dreams, prevention is the first line of defense, a shield wielded not just by firefighters, but by all who call Edo home. You find yourself walking the ancient streets with a weight in your chest, the memory of a fire so vast it reshaped Edo itself, the Great Fire of Mireki. Stories of this inferno echo through every corner of the city, shaping not only its architecture, but its very spirit. It began on a cold March night in 1657, when a careless spark in a merchant's home ignited a blaze that grew beyond control. Fueled by strong winds and the dense wooden structures, the fire raced through Edo's labyrinthine alleys with terrifying speed. Historians still argue about the exact cause and scale, but estimates say over 100,000 souls were lost, more than any other disaster in the city's history. You pause before a memorial stone, its inscription worn but solemn. It marks a boundary where the fire halted, a testament to the bravery of Haikeshi, who fought tirelessly against impossible odds. The city that rose from these ashes was both familiar and transformed. Wide streets replaced narrow alleys, stone fire breaks became more common, and regulations tightened. Yet even as Edo rebuilt, the scars remained. You sense them in the cautious layout of neighborhoods, the thicker plaster on walls, the watchful eyes of patrols like your own. You recall old tales passed down, how the Haikeshi worked in unison, risking everything to hold back the inferno. How entire brigades lost brothers in the blaze, their sacrifices etched into every fallen beam. Some say the Great Fire changed the city's soul, that it forged a new bond between citizens and firefighters, a silent pact of survival. Others argue it exposed the fragility of Edo's wooden heart, a vulnerability that would haunt it for centuries. As you continue your patrol, you see traces of that history in the faces around you, in wary shopkeepers, in careful builders, and in your own steadfast comrades. The Great Fire is never far from memory. It shapes every fire fought, every precaution taken, every ember chased into darkness. And for you, it is a constant reminder courage is born in the crucible of disaster, and from ashes, hope must always rise. The flames have long been extinguished, but the aftermath of a major fire leaves its own haunting trail. You walk through a neighborhood recently scarred by blazed timbers, blackened roofs, collapsed streets thick with ash and sorrow. Communities here have gathered in makeshift shelters, tents fashioned from salvaged cloth, small fires burning for warmth. Faces once bright with laughter now bear the weight of loss. Historians still debate how effectively Edo's citizens recovered from such disasters. But the resilience you witness is undeniable. You assist in distributing rice and water, helping neighbors share scarce resources. Children cling to parents, eyes wide with confusion and fear. Among the ruins, you see the quiet strength of those determined to rebuild. A carpenter measures charred beams, planning repairs. A mother gently cradles a sleeping child amid the rubble. You recall your own family's brush with fire years ago, how neighbors came to aid without hesitation, offering food, shelter, and hope. The Haikeshi play their part not only in fighting fires, but in healing wounds. You help organize patrols to guard against looters and ensure safety in fragile districts. As night falls, you stand watch by a flickering lantern, reflecting on the city's cycles of destruction and renewal. The scars of fire run deep, but so does Edo's spirit. You vow to fight not just flames, but despair, to help the city rise stronger with each dawn. For in Edo, life and fire are entwined, and from ashes new stories are born. The city's peace is fragile, and sometimes even the flames of fire fail to spark the fiercest clashes. You've heard tales whispered in the back rooms of the clubhouse, stories of confrontations between the Haikeshi and Edo's samurai class. These aren't battles of sword and hook, but of pride and power. Historians still debate the nature and frequency of these street clashes. Some say they were rare flare-ups. Others insist they shaped the social fabric of Edo more than any fire ever did. You recall the story of a night years past when a samurai lord's procession blocked a firefighting brigade's path en route to a blaze. The lord, arrogant and impatient, demanded passage, but the Haikeshi captain stood firm. Fire waits for no one. Tempers flared. Words gave way to shoves, then to fists. The clash left bruises deeper than any burn. Such incidents reveal the delicate balance between duty and hierarchy. Samurai held social and political power, but Haikeshi held the city's safety. In some districts, samurai provided patronage and protection to firefighters, recognizing their essential role. In others, disdain simmered beneath courteous facades. You think of your own encounters, silent nods of respect from armored men, but also wary glances that speak volumes. The Haikeshi's tattoos and rowdy reputation often clashed with samurai ideals of decorum. Yet in moments of crisis, those lines blurred. When fire threatened, samurai and Haikeshi fought side by side, united by a common cause. These stories remind you that Edo's society is a complex web woven from alliances and rivalries, honor and survival. As you patrol beneath flickering lanterns, you carry this knowledge with you, aware that every step balances centuries of history, smoke, and steel. The city's flames burn bright, but so do the fires of its social battles. And in the midst of it all, you stand ready, firefighter guardian, and witness to Edo's ever-shifting dance. The city hums softly beneath a moonlit sky as you make your way toward a small, weathered shrine tucked between two wooden shops. This is the sacred space where many Haikushi come to honor the unseen forces that govern fire, the gods, spirits, and ancient superstitions that shape their lives as surely as ropes and hooks. You kneel before the altar to Hinokagutsuchi, the fiery god whose fierce visage is carved into a blackened wooden statue. Incense curls upward, carrying prayers whispered by generations. Historians still debate whether these beliefs provided genuine protection or merely comfort in a dangerous world. To you, they are both threads woven into the fabric of your brotherhood. Around the shrine, small charms dangle tiny talismans of protection crafted from paper and wood. Some Haikushi sew these into their jackets or tie them to their poles, believing they ward off harm. You recall a tale told in hushed tones, a firefighter who survived a deadly blaze thanks to a charm blessed by a mountain priest. Whether fact or folklore, it speaks to the power of faith amid chaos. Superstitions abound. Some Haikushi avoid certain colors on their gear, fearing they invite bad luck. Others carry a special coin or knot their ropes in a particular pattern, believing these acts keep flames at bay. You glance at your own jacket, the hidden dragon tattoo, the way your sash is tied small rituals that steady your spirit before the battle. The spiritual side of firefighting offers more than superstition. It strengthens bonds among your comrades. Shared prayers, blessings, and rites create a sense of unity and purpose that no physical training can replicate. Historians debate whether this spiritual practice slowed modernization or preserved vital cultural identity. For you, it is the heartbeat beneath the roar of flames. As you rise from the shrine, a sudden breeze stirs the incense smoke. You feel a moment of calm amid the city's restless pulse. Tonight, as always, you will face the fire not just with tools and tactics, but with the strength of belief woven from ancient prayers and the unbreakable will of those who came before. In Edo, fire is both enemy and spirit, and to walk its edge is to carry both fear and faith. The city's wooden skyline begins to blur and change with the coming of modernization. Edo is becoming Tokyo, and the traditional Haikushi find themselves at a crossroads between the past and the future. You stand on a bridge overlooking a canal where new iron steamers ply the waters. Gas lamps flicker where once only paper lanterns glowed. The familiar smell of cedar mingles now with soot and smoke from distant factories. Historians still debate how much Edo's firefighting traditions influence the emerging modern fire services. You know this much: the spirit of the Haikushi endures. As new technologies arrive, modern hoses, fire engines, organize municipal brigades. The old ways begin to fade. Yet the lessons learned on wooden rooftops and narrow alleys remain invaluable. You meet a young firefighter trained in Western methods, his uniform crisp and his tools advanced. Yet when he speaks of courage, loyalty, and the sacred duty to protect his words echo those passed down from the Haikushi. The tattoos, the matter, the brotherhood, though transformed, live on in spirit. Festivals continue honoring the men who first ran toward flame, not away. You reflect on your own place in this evolving city, proud that the fire you fought shaped not only buildings, but hearts. For in the end, modernization may change tools and uniforms, but it cannot extinguish the flame of dedication kindled centuries ago. The Haikushi's legacy breathes quietly beneath Tokyo's bustling streets, a reminder that courage, honor, and community transcend time. The old Edo fades beneath the encroaching tide of change. Streets widen, wooden structures give way to brick and stone. Steam engines rumble where once rickshaws creaked. The traditional Haikushi brigades, once the heartbeat of firefighting, find their world shifting beneath their feet. You walk among new recruits clad in Western-style uniforms, their faces bright with unfamiliar discipline. The old ways, the tattoos, the matoi, the rowdy brotherhoods seem relics in a modernizing metropolis. Historians debate whether this transformation marked progress or loss. You feel both. The ancient camaraderie gives way to regimented commands. The artistry of firefighting, acrobatic rooftop leaps, and theatrical stunts dims beneath protocols and machinery. Yet amid the change, echoes of the Haikushi spirit remain. In festivals and stories and tattoos discreetly worn beneath crisp uniforms. You remember a sunset atop a rooftop, watching the city breathe smoke and light, knowing that no matter how much the city changes, the flame inside its defenders never dies. As the twilight deepens, you lay down your old fire hook one last time, honoring a chapter closing. Tomorrow, new firefighters will run with hoses and engines, but the legacy of the Hikeshi will forever burn in the soul of the city. The bustling metropolis of modern Tokyo sprawls beneath you, a city of steel and glass far removed from Edo's wooden labyrinth. Yet amid the neon glow and roaring traffic, subtle traces of the Hikeshi's legacy linger. You wander through a quiet neighborhood where festivals still light lanterns and parade banners high. The echoes of Matoi bearers' calls drift through the air, a whisper of times past. In a small museum tucked between towering buildings, you pause before displays of fire jackets, hooks, and weathered prints. The vibrant tattoos on preserved mannequins seem to gaze back with fierce pride. Historians debate how deeply Edo's firefighters shaped Japan's modern fire services. Yet here in Relics and Ritual, the connection is unmistakable. You spot a tattoo parlor where traditional designs flourish. Dragons, phoenixes, waves, marking not outlaws, but proud inheritors of the Hikeshi spirit. At festivals, you see young performers reenacting rooftop stunts, honoring courage in a world where fire is more contained, but no less respected. Walking these streets, you feel the past and present entwined, wood and steel smoke, and neon tradition and innovation. You carry this history with you not just as a memory, but as a living flame lighting the way forward. For in Tokyo's heart, the Hikeshi live on in stories told, tattoos inked, and the unwavering courage to stand against the heat. Night settles gently over the city, and you find yourself wandering once more through the narrow alleys and winding streets of old Edo, as if time itself has folded back to reveal the city's soul. The air carries the faint scent of smoke and cedar lanterns casting soft pools of light on worn stones beneath your feet. You move slowly now, each step a quiet tribute to the countless men who walked these paths before you, fires, fought lives, saved legacies forged. Historians still argue how much the Hikeshi shaped Edo's identity versus how much the city shaped them. You realize the answer lies not in debates, but in moments like this. A gentle breeze stirs the smoke from a distant brazier. Somewhere a Matoi banner flutters unseen, but felt a silent beacon of courage. You recall the faces of your comrades, their tattoos and scars, their laughter and solemn vows. The city breeze around you, fragile yet fierce, forever dancing on the edge of flame. As you walk beneath paper lanterns glowing like stars, you understand that the Hikeshi story is more than history. It is a living pulse carried in the heart of Edo and all who call it home. You pause, closing your eyes. The night hums softly, a lullaby of resilience and hope. And with that, you let yourself rest, knowing the fire will rise again, and so will you. Slow now, the city's sounds fade to whispers. The warmth of the fires you fought lingers like a soft glow beneath your skin. Breathe deeply. Feel the rhythm of the streets, the gentle sway of lanterns, the faint crackle of embers carried on the breeze. Rest easy. You have walked among heroes, stood where flames roared, and carried the spirit of a city that never surrenders. Let your heart slow, your thoughts soften. The night is calm. The journey ends here for now. Sleep well, friend. The dawn will bring new fires to face, new stories to live. But for tonight, just breathe. Just be.